Good evening everybody, and welcome back to my channel. This evening I have got 3 Easter stories for you. Creepy as all hell. Let's begin. Story number 1. The Hollow Egg. Every Easter the town of Ashbrook came alive with colour. Pastel streamers lined the streets. Families gathered in the park for egg painting, and kids prepared for the annual Easter egg hunt, a local tradition dating back for over 70 years. This year, 12-year-old Liam Hartfield wasn't especially excited. The older he got, the less magical it felt, but his mum insisted he join. "Come on, Liam, it might be your last year before you're too cool to care," she said with a wink. So, dressed in his usual hoodie and sneakers and gripping an old wicker basket, Liam joined the swarm of kids sprinting into the Ashbrook woods behind the old Methodist church. There were hundreds of eggs hidden, some plastic, some real, all painted bright colours. Some had candy inside, some had a few dollar bills. The golden egg, a gaudy gold-painted plastic one, held a £100 gift card and was the ultimate prize. But Liam didn't find that one. He found something else. At the edge of the clearing, near an old stone well no one used anymore, Liam spotted a strange glimmer between the tree roots. It wasn't colourful like the others. It was jet black and thin. Red veins swirled across its surface like blood under glass. Something about it felt wrong. He picked it up. It was warm. Not warm like it had been sitting in the sun. Warm like a living thing. Like it had a heartbeat. Liam stared at it, feeling an instinctual revulsion ripple through his chest. Still, curiosity got the better of him. He cracked it open. Instead of candy or money, the egg contained a single eyeball. Pale, grey, bloodshot and veiny. It sat in a shallow pool of some thick, dark fluid, and when the shell split, the eyeball blinked. Liam screamed and dropped the egg, but the shell didn't shatter. It bounced like rubber, and rolled toward the well, landing with a soft plop in the grass. The eye turned in its little socket, fixating on him one last time before the egg shriveled like a fruit and melted into the dirt. He stood frozen, heart pounding, hands trembling. "Liam!" someone called. It was his friend Morgan, waving from across the clearing. "You find anything good?" Liam stammered something and nodded, stuffing his basket with a few random eggs to avoid suspicion. He didn't say a word to anyone about the black egg. Not that day, and not that night. But the next morning, the dream started. In the first dream, he was back in the woods, but everything was dead. The trees were blackened husks, the sky grey and still. The church steeple was crooked, and the bell tolled slowly without wind or movement, and standing in front of the well was a figure. It was tall, easily 8 feet, and draped in a patchwork cloak of stitched together rabbit pelts. Its hands were long and bony, with claws like iron nails. Its head resembled a rabbit's skull, long ears, hollow eyes, and a mouth full of square, human teeth that clicked together in a rhythmic snap. It raised a finger and pointed at Liam. "You cracked my eye," it said in a rasping, wet voice. "I see you now." Liam woke up screaming. His mum rushed in, held him and soothed him. "Just a bad dream," she whispered, running her fingers through his sweat-drenched hair. "Just a dream." But it didn't feel like one. And things only got worse. Over the next week, Liam started seeing shadows that moved on their own. Every time he looked in a mirror, he'd catch a glimpse of something standing behind him, just for a second. Sometimes when he blinked, he could feel the eye inside the egg blinking at the same time. He stopped sleeping. He started sketching the things from his dreams, the towering rabbit creature in its stitched cloak and toothy grin, over and over again in the margins of his notebooks. His teachers noticed, so did his mum. "Liam, honey, are you okay? You look pale," she said over dinner. Did something happen at that Easter hunt? He wanted to tell her, wanted to confess everything, but the thing's voice echoed in his head like a heartbeat in reverse. "I see you." So he just shook his head and said he was tired. That night he woke to the sound of whispering. It wasn't coming from his room or even the hallway, it was outside his window, which faced the backyard and the woods beyond. He pulled back the curtain and looked out. There, standing in the moonlight, between the trees, it was a figure from his dream. It didn't move, didn't speak, just stared, with one glowing red eye in the centre of its skull. Liam slammed the curtain shut and crawled into bed, pulling the blankets over his head like armour. By Friday, he was unravelling. Morgan confronted him at lunch. "You've been acting super weird," she said. "Seriously, what's going on?" Liam hesitated. Then he opened his mouth, and everything came pouring out. The egg, the eye, the dreams, the creature, the whispers, the visions. He expected her to laugh, but she didn't. Instead, she frowned. "You found it too." His blood ran cold. "What?" "When I was 9, same egg, same thing inside. I thought it was a joke at first." But then she trailed off. "It started haunting me, watching me." "What did you do?" "I buried it, deep in the forest. There's a place my grandma told me about it. Somewhere things like that can't reach. A hollow hill. You have to go alone. And you have to leave an offering." Liam stared at her, trying to process it. "An offering?" Morgan nodded, her voice barely a whisper. "Something living." That night he packed a flashlight, a shovel, and a live mouse from the pet store. He told his mum it was for a school project. He waited until 1 a.m, then crept out the back door into the woods. The deeper he went, the quieter the world became. No birds, no insects, just the sound of his own breath and the distant tolling of the old church bell, even though it hadn't worked in years. After an hour of walking, he found it, a mound of earth shaped like a sleeping giant, smooth and bare, as if no vegetation dared grow there. He felt it before he saw it, a pressure in the air like static. Liam stepped onto the hill, heart hammering. He dug a small hole, placed the shoebox with the mouse inside, and whispered, "I'm sorry." Then he covered it and stood back. For a moment nothing happened. Then the ground trembled. A crack split the top of the hill like an egg, and from it rose a hand, not human, not animal, but something in between. It reached towards him. Liam turned and ran. He didn't stop running until he was back in his bedroom, panting and soaked in cold sweat. For 3 nights nothing happened. No dreams, no whispers, no eyes in the mirror. On the 4th night, Liam finally slept peacefully, but on the 5th he woke up screaming. Not his own. He rushed into the hallway and saw his mum standing at the back door, pointing out towards the yard. Someone had dug up the garden. Not just a hole, a message. 3 words scratched into the earth, deep and jagged. That was not enough. And at the centre of the words, in a neat little circle, was a fresh black egg. Liam knew what it wanted. He couldn't ignore it anymore. So the next night he walked to the well. He carried the egg in the basket, hands shaking, his heart numb. The well had been sealed off years ago, but now the stones were broken, the wood cover splintered like something had crawled out. He dropped the egg into the darkness and whispered, "Take it back." Silence. Then something rose from the well. Not fully, not enough to be seen, just its voice echoing up the stone shaft. "Not mine, it's yours now." Liam backed away, breath catching in his throat. The ground around the well cracked open, and more black eggs started rising from the boils of the earth. 12, then 100, until they covered the ground like a nest. The eye in each one blinked, and from the trees came laughter, high-pitched, skittering, inhuman laughter. The rabbit thing emerged from the woods, its cloak dragging behind it, its long fingers twitching. "You broke the shell," it said. "You woke me up." Liam turned and ran, faster than he ever had, but the laughter followed. He's not in Ashbrook anymore. He doesn't speak. He just draws, over and over again. The creature, the egg, the eye. Doctors say he has PTSD. They kept him in a quiet room in the Pine Hollow psychiatric facility, where he rarely responds to visitors. But sometimes, usually around Easter, he whispers something under his breath. No one can quite make it out, except Morgan. She visited once, just once, and when he did come out of his room, she was pale as death. "Did he talk to you?" a nurse said. Morgan nodded slowly. "Yeah, just one sentence." "What did he say?" She swallowed. "The eggs are hatching." Story number 2. The Burrower. They moved to the farmhouse on a grey March afternoon. The fields were still frozen, the trees bare, and the wind had a strange kind of whisper to it, the sort that made you feel watched. The Jenkins family, Claire, David, and their 8-year-old Maddie, were looking for a new start. Claire had inherited the land from her great-aunt, a woman nobody had spoken to in years. The house came with creaky floors, faded wallpaper, and 100 acres of wood. "It has character," Claire said. David just muttered something about the renovations. On the Saturday before Easter, while planting tulips near the porch, Claire spotted something strange, a small wicker basket sitting on top step. It hadn't been there 5 minutes ago. Inside were 3 eggs, not plastic, not painted, just plain speckled brown. There was a note. No knock, no one in sight. Claire assumed it was a neighbour's kind gesture. Maddie was thrilled. She carried the basket around all day like a prize. That night, things changed. Around 2 a.m, Claire woke to the sound of scratching. Not the wind, something sharp, something deliberate. She crept into Maddie's room, half expecting to find her playing with a toy. But Maddie was curled in bed, eyes wide open. "There's something under me," she whispered. Claire knelt, lifting the bed skirt slowly. "Just dust." "You've had a bad dream," Claire said. "No," Maddie whispered, pointing towards the corner. "He's in the floor now." Claire didn't sleep that rest of the night. The next morning, Maddie didn't come down for breakfast. David found her bed empty, sheets disturbed, a faint trail of dirt leading from the headboard to the open closet door, and inside the closet, at the back, was a hole. Rough, freshly dug, less a tunnel than a vertical shaft, like something had clawed its way up, not down. Claire screamed. The police came. Search dogs, neighbours, no trace. All they found was Maddie's favourite stuffed animal laying in the garden. It seems to have been split, and stuffed inside was a small note written in clumsy handwriting. "Thank you. I need more. The Burrower." Claire lost her mind within a week. David tried to board up the house. He poured concrete over the closet floor, set up a motion sensor, and camped in Maddie's room with a shotgun every single night. It didn't help, because once the Burrower takes a child from a house, he always comes back the next Easter for more. Story number 3. Peter Rottentail. It started as a rumour, one of those weird urban legends kids whisper in the middle school cafeterias and sleepovers. Don't go to Bunnyland or Easter Eve. That's when Peter Rottentail shows up. Bunnyland was a cheesy roadside attraction off Route 17. It had a faded plastic egg nailed to the fake grass walls in a tiny petting zoo, and an Easter Bunny mascot named Peter Cottontail, who posed for photos and handed out jelly beans. The place should have closed down in the 80s, but somehow it had limped into the 90s. That was when Rottentail came. The first time staff thought he was a prankster. He wore a full bunny costume like the real Peter, but his was wrong. Homemade, stained with something dark and crusty, the fur uneven and matted. The oversized head had one crooked ear and a bloodshot glass eye. Worst of all were the teeth, human, yellow, and real. He called himself Peter Rottentail. He didn't speak, just stood by the photo booth, holding a wicker basket. One of the staff asked him to leave. He didn't. He started handing out children's eggs from the basket. That's when people noticed something was off. One egg was filled with hair. Another had rotten meat. One little boy opened his and found a baby mouse, alive, but missing its legs. Parents panicked. Security escorted the man out. He didn't resist. He just walked off into the cornfields behind Bunnyland. They assumed it was over. Until the next morning. The janitor, Joe Carlson, came in early. He found the photo booth slashed to ribbons. Easter grass was soaked in blood. On the seat where Peter usually posed with kids was a single white sneaker, and inside it, a child's eye. Police never found that child. Bunnyland was shut down a week later. 15 years passed. Then one day, teenagers broke into the old Bunnyland property on a dare, filming on their phones, laughing as they climbed over rusted fences and wandered through the graffiti-tagged ruins. They found the old photo booth first, still stained, still smelling faintly of iron. One girl, Rachel, joked about sitting on the bunny's lap. "I summon thee, Peter Rottentail," she laughed, raising a toy wand. Then the static started. Their phones, all of them, glitched at once. A low hum filled the air, like a broken speaker. And then footsteps, slow, rhythmic, heavy. They turned towards the cornfield, and from the shadow of the stalks he came, same patchwork costume, same glass eye, same teeth. One kid ran and survived, the others were never found, just their phones arranged in a perfect circle around the photo booth, still recording. They say Rottentail isn't just a man in a suit. He's something else now. Some say he was a mall Easter bunny who went mad after his own daughter was trampled in a holiday rush. Others say he made a deal with something in the cornfields. Some believe Bunnyland was built on cursed land where rituals used to be performed in the spring. offering sacrifices and rabbit masks. Whatever the truth is, one thing's always the same. Rottentail comes back only where Easter cheer has died. Abandoned malls, boarded up stalls, defunct fairgrounds. Anywhere the Easter Bunny used to appear, but he no longer does. People leave offerings now, just in case. Small baskets on doorsteps, bright plastic eggs filled with sugar. A note that will simply say, "We remember you. Don't come back." Thank you for joining me this evening. Sweet dreams.